Good morning. Buenos dias. Let me get a link sent out here and then I'll get going. We'll do a little pre-market prep and look at some Edgeful stuff this morning. And I have a brand new thing from Edgeful that I'm gonna give a little sneak peek to you guys on. So let's give it just a second here. Get a link sent over. There it is. All right. All right. Okay, let's do it. Spaffo Friday. There's an interesting argument right now. It's quad witching or triple witching, whichever one you want to call it. Either way, what we do know is there is a lot of option expiration today. So quad witching or triple witching. So you have daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly options all expiring on the same day. You have stock index options. You have futures contracts that roll over and futures options. So however you want to count that, it's witching of some type. So today is a witching day. We'll put it that way. So it's going to be interesting. So before I even get going in the charts and the data here, let's think about what happens today. We have massive amounts of big money that are having to roll over their positions. They're closing out positions or opening new positions. So price action can be a little erratic today. So we'll have to kind of watch as the day goes on. We don't want to get head faked out. I trade a lot lighter, and when I say lighter, I mean both. I trade less total trades and less size both. So double on the light today for trading. I know some of you are probably excited. You're chomping at the bit. You saw what happened yesterday in the market, and you probably wanting to trade a lot. Obviously, I have that same feeling a lot. But once you recognize kind of what environment you succeed in and which ones are tougher to trade, today, in my opinion, at least for me, is one of those tougher days to trade. So, all right, let's take a look. Obviously, daily charts are always good to look at. Here's SPY. We just made a brand new all-time high yesterday. Interesting candle up here. Obviously, a candle doesn't really mean anything until the next candle. So, we don't want to get too excited about looking at this saying, oh, this is a reversal candle. This is a shooting star. It's, an island top. We don't want to make any of those claims until we have the next candle that kind of confirms it. But it is something to look at. But we're also at all-time highs on SPY. QQQ, we are still not quite up to all-time high. We were at a very key spot right here. We did break this high yesterday, right here. We didn't quite break over here, so we're still basically, you could draw kind of a zone here, but this is kind of what I'm watching on the upper side as resistance or supply zone, and then obviously, what's this shape right here? Big old W with a higher low. Same thing on SPY. We basically have a W with a higher low right here, and this W is kind of already pushing out. So SPY much stronger than tech, but still looking good. Okay, let's zoom in. We're gonna look at SPY and QQQ a little bit first, and then I'll jump over and I'll look at the futures. So going into today, what can we look for? Obviously, we have a true gap for me is from close to open. So if we look at right here, this is where we closed on Wednesday. This is where we opened yesterday. So everything from here up is technically a gap. You could even go to here. Obviously, this one for the actual session, it closed right here. Let's go down to a closer look here. Yesterday I mentioned this gap right here. So this is where we closed on Wednesday. Up here's where we opened. We never filled this gap. This gap was one of the largest gaps we've ever seen. Plus, anytime the gap is that large, and I've talked about this, I'll show you guys here in just a second. When a gap's that big, I don't look for the gap fill because the stats tell me that it's just terrible. That doesn't mean that we don't chop around. It doesn't mean that we don't go higher and then come back down. Yesterday we did kind of do one of those breakout and then fell back under, and we still closed decently yesterday, but we didn't come down to try to fill this gap. QQQ, same thing. So we still have a gap on the daily that we can watch for if things get wild today to the downside. Let me turn this back off so you can see. This is where we closed once again. So that's what's important here. So some people will look at this, and this right here would be the first gap. So from the top of this wick to here, this would be the first gap I would watch. So, I could even go ahead and do something like this. So as we get going today, I can use that as a reference point. And who knows, hey, maybe we get continuation upside, right? I'm just preparing for possibilities today, right? So I can look for that. I can look at this right here, opening price. I can look at this as a possible gap fill, and then I can even, for me, the true gap. So what I call true gap is from daily close to daily open. So from right here, let me just show you guys, from right here to right here, that's actually my true gap. And then this is what I would call half gap right here. And that half gap kind of lines up with pretty key level. We rejected in this area a bunch of times right here. All of these candles, if y'all remember a couple weeks ago, end of August, we rejected the same area a bunch of times and then finally broke down. And then once we got back up to it, we rejected the same area a few times. And then big gap up yesterday after FOMC on Wednesday. But let's see, what can we look for today, obviously. Well, like I was saying, the gap's going to be right down here. This is the gap that hasn't filled yet. Can it fill today? Maybe. So far in pre-market, we're doing actually pretty nicely. We don't even have a session gap on QQQ. We do on SPY. So the first thing out of the gate that I'll be watching, and once we open the market, this indicator that I have from Edgeful, and then obviously I can check the stats right when we get to open, but we're just about 45 minutes away. So as we get that open, we'll kind of see. The immediate thing I see is this gap right here. This is a session gap is what I call this. So this would be the first gap I would look to fill, and it is a smaller gap. So I would plan for this to be able to fill. If anything, I want to either be long somewhere off the open if we see some strength, or I can just wait. A lot of times I don't like to trade that first 30 minutes anyway, but I could just wait. And if we get up here to 570.20 on SPY, that would be the first shot that I would look at to maybe take a short. And then what we'll have is our actual gap, or our true gap, is wherever we close. So this right here is where we close. So we'll just call it 571. And I do have this kind of level drawn here anyway. So if we get in this area, this is where I would look for rejection, possible shorts on SPY or ES. You can use that in Confluence. So a lot of times SPY is kind of the king of the market. So if SPY or SPX fills a gap, a lot of times the entire market, whether Q's is strong, weak, whatever, when we see SPY fill a gap, a lot of times we see the entire market react there. Same with QQQ. Sometimes we see QQQ come down and fill a gap, and when it hits a bounce spot, you'll see the entire market bounce as well. We have no session gap here, so that you can see red and this blue. This is from after hours to pre-market. No session gap here. Yesterday's closing candle is right here. We just filled the gap. So when we get to open, we're not going to have this right here is not even going to show up when we get to the open, because we don't have a gap here. But we can still watch if Q's does show some weakness and come down. The first place I'd be watching is right here, which I have this level kind of drawn anyway, but the edge of this gap to not even enter it to go down. So like if we're coming down here and we get to the edge right here and hold, that's a long spot. I would probably try to long futures on NQ right there. If we fill this gap right here, I would love to play a bounce play off of that. Depending, obviously all this is with context, right? So, if we're knifing super hard, we're probably not going to just buy it right away. But if we're knifing, knife down a little bit, and then we start to kind of try to support, and then we hit right here, boom, on this, I'm probably going to take that. And then obviously down here, if for some reason we drop way down here, this would be either a target to get out of shorts or a spot to try to get long on QQQ. It's going to be the same thing on SPY. If we hold right in this area, so 566 20s to 566.50, where I kind of drew this level from a previous kind of all-time high area. I can even zoom out and show you guys. So this level I drew right here, it was pre-market high on Tuesday. So we come back in that area. That's going to be a possible spot as well. Previous day range. So I'm going to turn this indicator on because I really like looking at this. This is going to give me a label for previous day high and low, which you see, and one of the reasons why I watch this, look at this. So instead of having to go draw this line, and first off, these Edgeful, you guys know I talk about Edgeful all the time. I use all of their indicators, well, all the ones that I like anyway. They have a ton more that I don't even use, that I know a lot of other people that use them, but I personally, I have like my favorites that I use. That's kind of what I'm showing you guys here this morning. It comes with, if you sign up for Edgeful, you get these indicators for your trading view as well. And every single one of them has a report and data that goes with it. And that I think is the biggest key here, because, I could go in every morning and draw the previous day high and low, right? So like when we get open and get going here, I can watch, okay, here's my previous day low right here. Here's my previous day high. What's going to happen is this right here, this previous day high, I'm going to get an indicator right here that tells me, hey, previous day high is here, previous day low is right here, which we did break it slightly down here in pre-market, but it's still very valid spot to watch. If we come under this, so if we do come down here towards this area and bounce, we back test previous day low, so right here 568.10, that's what I would be watching for as a rejection spot as well. But you can see yesterday, here was the high from Wednesday. This was the reaction high of the FOMC, and look where we it doesn't get much better than this. Right there, never even closed a candle all the way under it. As soon as we got into it, wicked right back up. We closed basically this candle right on it, and the next candle goes. Good spot risk reward wise for a long, and then you take it back up here to pre-market low. I don't know if you could look at this as a pre-market low. Technically your pre-market lows are still way down here, but then this is probably your trim spot. Boom, you lock in some profit and you get a pretty nice trade, and you could have held this trade for a while and been fine, because we created that uptrend. So we'll watch for that today. On SPY the same way, QQQ as well, previous day high and low. We never even really got down to test it yesterday, so that's going to be kind of the first thing. We haven't tested this FOMC high. We haven't back tested it really at all. I don't really count this because this is where we just gapped up and we were just going all night long, which if you were long overnight Wednesday into Thursday, you probably don't even need trade today. You probably made a ton of money. Protect those profits, get your weekend started, or at least, play light, protect that profit, lock it in for the week, but maybe just risk a small amount of it. But this is the first spot I want to see us come back in touch on QQQ. If we don't, we don't, right? I think there's a chance that we do. So first thing, once we get open, I'll see this indicator, previous day low right here, and then this down here. So if we break this, I would almost expect us to immediately come down and test this. So if I see this break, either I'm immediately going to try to get in. If it's flushing hard, I'll probably just get in and play that breakout trade. If not, what I would do is I would look for something where it came down and did something like this, came back up, back tested right here, 480.5, and then I'm going to take that trade to here. So that's something I'll be watching for as well. Excuse me. Let me jump back over to SPY. And of course, like with the gap fill here. Okay, so let's say we end up opening SPY. Let's just use an easy spot right here. So let's say SPY opens up right here. And I told you guys where the actual close is, so the true gap. So obviously the first spot's going to be right here, right? This is going to be the first thing to watch. But if we do come all the way back up here, 0.43%, that's not that big of a gap at all. I would expect that closes. Let's take a look at the data on Edgeful. SPY gap fill, when it gaps down, 67% of the time we fill that gap. By size, let's see, gap down, so it's right on this area. So gap down, 77% of those fill. I don't even know if we've had. Let's go out a little bit further. There's not as many in this range. Interesting. It's interesting that there's not that many of this size right here, and not that many have actually filled. So that tells me something already. So if we go back and look at this, I mean, depending on where we open, right? But if we open down here somewhere, this gap is actually not that likely to fill. Now, it could go to here, so that actually makes me want to really watch this, because I'm watching for this, but the stats aren't great that we even fill that. So really, that also tells me I probably don't want to take this long to go to here. Or if anything, if I do get long right in this area, so like maybe off a previous day low, maybe this is my full exit today, right? Maybe this is what my full exit's going to be, instead of trying to take it all the way to here, or I'm locking in, 90% right here. One runner, I try to let go up to here. So that's probably how I'm going to approach today. That's interesting. I'm glad we checked this. Now by weekday, this is very interesting as well. Friday, gap down on Friday, 69% of the time we're going to fill that. Those are good odds actually. So this is the only thing I don't exactly like, just based on the size right now, but we'll kind of see. Obviously we'll monitor that. If this comes up here, if we open up here, obviously it's much different, right? If this trend kind of continues and we open the day here, now my gap's 0.29 through 0.3%, 67% once again. By weekday, Fridays are pretty strong. If we compare, if you gap down any other day, Monday gap down is the best one. Look at that, 80%. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not super strong, decent odds still. But Friday gap down is the second highest one. So we want to look for that. We want to look for that on SPY. Let's take a look at, let's see, QQQ. We've already filled this gap, so it doesn't matter. That's right. We basically filled this gap. QQQ, yeah, because it was right here. Yeah, right here. So we just filled the gap on QQQ. So we really don't have that play. Let's take a look at the futures. One of the other indicators you guys know I love is the orb. I don't know if I've talked about this a whole lot. Edgeful, for one, for one, they're fantastic to work with. They build out. Let's see, where is it, David? They've moved it around on me over here. Build a report. See this right here? They'll build these reports, and when I look at this, I mean, there's new reports all the time. See all these new ones that come in all the time. I mean, this list is growing. If you guys have been following me along, this list has been growing. The reason I bring that up, I tweeted about this not too long ago. I've been watching this midpoint of the orb, and so I talked to Andre, and he had his team jump on this, and they added this right here, orb midline. So basically the midpoint of the orb, and honestly, it's been a pretty important one for me. Let's see. I mean, we just always seem to hang out and get reactions. I did a thread on this. Maybe I'll go find it and retweet it. But this midpoint, so here's your high, here's your low, here's the midpoint. Anyways, just wanted to mention that update that they added that in here. But that's something I watch a lot throughout the day. Is this orb high? I mean, so you look at yesterday, we got our upper and lower set. We broke out, we back tested. We basically held right here. Obviously, it was very volatile, but we never really even closed the candle underneath here. I look for this to come down and reject and then do this. So actually something like this right here. So this was like late in the day, after hours a little bit. This is what I look for when we come back down. We basically bounced off orb. We were trying to bounce. We failed it, and then we rejected, and then we eventually made our way back to the midpoint. Unfortunately, all this was happening last night, overnight, but this is, during the day, this does happen a lot, so it's something I'll be looking for. Bigger picture on the futures. Let's take a look here. Once again, reaction candle high, FOMC right here, big spot. It's also a whole number. You see the 900. That definitely is a downside target or a get long target. I see a lot of y'all calling me a bear. I don't know. I probably trade 2-to-1. I was thinking about this the other day. I was kind of looking at the stats. I'm probably 2-to-1 trading shorts versus longs. They just move faster, right? But I'm not, like, in the bigger picture of things, I'm not a bear. Shorts, they just move so much faster. Especially on the future side. It's just, I don't know. We all have our thing, right? This level right here, this is on the Z contract. So if anybody's confused here, this is December. So what I do here, you can use NQ, which does the actual rollover. I like to chart on the actual one that doesn't have any roll gaps or adjustment or anything. So I just type this in my trading view, NQZ 2024, gives you the December contract. If you're one of the ones that likes to use just NQ1, automatically rolls everything. Some people watch that roll gap. It's an interesting one. But anyways, just a quick note there. This is a big key level that I'm going to be watching, 925. So that's why I have it marked on here already. Some of the levels I kind of just have memorized every day, but also from watching Bookmap. But 925 is going to be a big level for me. Obviously 20K, right? So right here, obviously that's going to be a big level. But let's look at this real fast. So this is one thing I was looking at yesterday. We did come down and hold this back test of this level. So we broke over it. We held over it. We came back and basically back tested it again. Nice movement over the last 3 hours off of that level. Also, you have the 20,000 here. So you got a couple things, support in that zone. Other thing yesterday, so I was watching this. This was from open. Let's go down to 30 minutes so we can see this. We got down to our golden retrace. We got down under the 786. But yesterday's low and that lower orb pivot point. This area right here is going to be super interesting because for me, this is the New York session low, which the New York session low itself is it's basically previous day low on QQQ. It's the same concept. And the pivot point right here, I like this area a lot. If we come down here for probably a bounce, or we look for something to come under. So let's draw another example. Hold on, where's this? Okay, so if we break under this, bounce here and retest, this is where you could look for a short entry, and then you want to get under that, right? So that's one thing you can look at. The other thing is, if we break this level, bounce, we come here, and then let's say we come back up here. Let's just say you get to 20K, you probably reject, but if you bounce and hold right here immediately, something like that could happen too, right? So, you try to plan out and think about which different strategies you can use or what might happen. This one right here is probably the most interesting one I'm watching. So we have exactly a whole number here, 20,050, basically, one of the 50, every 100 points, every 50 points, obviously the big numbers like 250, 500, 750, or 20K, 19K, those numbers are always worth watching on the future side of things. The retracement that we have here to play off of, though, is really interesting because we have a level right in that same area too, 956, which would be very interesting. This is from the lows we made after FOMC to the high we made yesterday. So today, if I am short today, which I probably will be trying shorts at some point, especially if we get under this area, this 900 that I talked about earlier, that's going to be a target. So if anything, if this breaks, I want to try to be short somewhere up in here, and then I'm going to be trim, boom, major trim, if we get some type of move like that. And that's kind of how I play this out. I try to get into my position, the first spot of support that I have. So like right here, it's going to be this area. This is going to be my first support. So if I get in a short anywhere up here, honestly 20K, so right here is going to be first trim. We break that, next trims are in this area. We get under this. Obviously, this isn't a fib level, but it's an important level. So that's why that's why we do our charting. So we go do our charting so we can sit here and have, where am I looking for potential entries? But even more importantly, if we have some type of break of structure, break of trend line or break of a previous day low, something like that, somewhere where we've got short already, we need to have our targets. What's our roadmap? Where am I trimming? So, let's just use easy numbers here. If I take 10, let's say I take 10 MNQ up here at 50. Let's just say I took 10 MNQ up here. I'm probably going to trim out at least 3 or 4 right here. I'm going to take out another 2 at this area. So now I'm out half of my position. I've locked in half my position worth of profit. And then I'm just going to spray out orders. I'll probably trim out. So if I'm out 5 out of the 10, I'll probably trim out 1 here, trim out another 1 or 2 here. So now I'm down to 3 left. And then if we get this, I'll take another 2 trims, and I'm down to just 1. If this thing wants to run all the way down here somewhere, that don't underestimate the one little runner, especially on futures, how much extra money that can make you. But the thing is, you've already locked in. If we got down here for some reason, we've already locked in 9 out of 10. So if it does come back against us, so if it gets down to here and it just flies back up 80 points, okay, big deal. It's 1 contract. I'm trying to extract and capture the most amount of profit I can, but I'm not trying to take every single point. But I'm also not worried about, okay, well, I got 50 points here. Let me take off my entire position. Well, that runner could go another 150 points, and even if it's 1 runner, that's a lot of money. And plus, the trade worked out. I already won the trade. Let's see how far it can go, right? That's my methodology. That's the way I think about this. So, we'll keep. Wow, we're trying to come down here right at the top of the hour, huh? You guys shorting without me while I'm over here doing prep? You guys are having too much fun already. All right. There was one other thing that we can look at here as a part of the prep. We do have a gap fill on futures. Yeah, we do. So keep an eye on that. Obviously, if we get over where we just made a high, 74, there's your gap fill right there. That's going to be interesting. Previous day range. Previous day low is way down here on futures, but obviously we had this. I don't think we get down here today. If we do, it'll be a wild day. Previous day high. So I don't want to just talk about shorts. Obviously, any of these areas that I'm talking about as targets for shorts or possible bounce spots, we're obviously that you can play the other side. You can play to get long there. We're in an uptrend. We're in a bullish market. There's no reason not to think about longs either. I mean, we have to be fair and talk about both sides. If we do come down here to this area that I was just talking about, 900, 925, we come down there and it looks like we're going to make it long, or if we come down here, bounce and get some kind of lower high like this. So if we hit like 900, get back over 925 and boom, I'm probably going to look long. And if I can just ride along, I'll ride along. So that'll be fun. Gap to fill here. Oh, market sessions. This is what I was going to look at. So far, I like to look at this. There's an interesting report on this. Let's go to futures, and I'll show you guys the stats on this. Something we want to pay attention to. Market session correlation. All right, so you see, this is our market sessions from overnight. Tokyo, it overlaps into London. London will overlap a little bit into New York. Once New York starts, it'll look like this. So you can see yesterday we had green, green, green. Today we have a red Tokyo, I believe. Well, actually Tokyo closed way up here. So maybe they're actually green. Yeah, no, they're actually... Yeah, they actually closed green. London is currently headed red. So a little bit of divergence there, but what I'm going to look at the most is what does London do compared to New York? London is red. London closed red. New York, 64% chance we close red here. So the way things are shaping up right now with London session, and I know it tried to do this, so maybe we put a slight importance on this, but London closes down here, and we want to watch this too right here. This is the Tokyo low, or the Asian session low. It's right where we're trying to bounce right now. Call it 2020. So we want to watch this area too a little bit. So I'll flip this on throughout the day and kind of check to see where we're at. This is the other thing we got to watch: pre-market low or Globex low. We want to watch this pretty closely, actually, if we get down here. So if we do get under, get under the Tokyo session, get under 20K, we want to watch this to either hold or break. But if this pops back up here and comes up here, so if we come up here and fill the gap, if London... And you can see this line right here, right? This dotted line. If London closes green, so then we have a green Tokyo and a green London, even though we dip below. Green Tokyo, green London session. I mean, there's your stat. I don't think we need to say a whole lot more. There's your stat, 73% New York green. So we'll kind of watch that as well. So that's another layer of confluence that we can go in there. All right, guys. One more thing that I'm going to look at here is just a little sneak peek real fast. This is what's coming. I have a we were going to do it on Wednesday, but we had FOMC and we just didn't want to. There was no way we could do it that day. But with Edgeful, there's this new thing. What's in play? This is going to be awesome. I've been talking with them about this for a while. They've developed it. I tossed some brainstorming ideas in to them as they're developing it, and it's a I don't want to say work in process or progress, but I guess everything's a work in progress, right? but they're building this thing out. But the ideas that are out there are amazing. So we'll see what we'll see what they come out with. But I want to show you what this is, what's in play. So imagine every morning, basically what I just went through. We're basically checking, we're seeing what's in play. It's literally what I just did, what's in play. Now, what Edgeful's doing is they're about to do that for us. They're about to create a they've already created this, and they're rolling it out. I think on the 30th, so whenever that is, I think it's Monday, maybe 10 days from now. I'm gonna do a live on X broadcast with Andre, the CEO and founder of Edgeful, and he's going to show this to everyone. We're going to do a demonstration of this for everyone, but I just want to give you guys a sneak peek here before the open. I've already got it pulled up here. What's in play? So when I say what's in play, that's exactly what I just did. I looked at gaps forming. I looked at previous day high and low, things like that. We didn't talk a whole lot about it, but the orb. So here's I just turn off some of this traffic so you guys can see it. The orb stuff. Well, what are the stats? What are the stats that go with this? So I can watch this all day, but what are my stats that go with it? Things like that. What's in play? Quick sneak peek of this. Look at this. What's in play? There's only a 1 minute delay, and they're updating this. So look at this. The gap forming, for example. So on SPY, right now, price, target, they're just telling you where the gap is, telling you the size of the gap. What's the status of it? We're forming a gap down right now. What's our bias? Our bias is bullish. Bias is based on where it is, relative to the target. So we gap down. We're looking for that gap to fill. And then look at the last 5 gap downs. Right here we've got the stats, not the stats, but the streaks. So of the last 5, 4 of those filled, and the last 4 in a row all filled. Boom. Here's the stats over the last 6 months. Gap downs on SPY. Boom. Look at this. So I can pull this up in the morning or ride it open, and they just, you saw it said beta, right? They're just now releasing this right now, and I'm fired up about this. I'm gonna have this in a window open on the side of my screen pretty much all day, but especially early in the mornings as we get close to the open and that first 15 minutes, half hour, and then you'll see the other ones that are down here. 15-minute orb opening range. They've got several things. What's in play? What are the stats on them? And obviously once we get open, we'll see way more on this. But I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek on that. And then you just click here and go to the report page. Wow, awesome. All right, guys. I'm going to jump over on Spaces, get ready for the day. Be careful today. Let's be smart today. There's going to be a lot of head fakes. Key levels, gamma levels, gex levels, where a bunch of options positioning has been sitting. It needs to be rolled. We'll see things like that. Support, we'll see it get sucked and magnet into those. If you've got NFP levels on your chart, look at those as well. Trade safe, trade light. Be patient. Be very, very patient. I preach that every day, today more than ever. Be very, very patient. Appreciate everyone that tuned in. I'm going to try to start making this a more regular thing. I know I've said that a couple times. I'm going to try to do more videos and stuff. I just get so busy, or I jump on and I'm looking at futures and I get in 19 conversations, either on Spaces or in Discords and stuff. But try to do this more often. I appreciate all of you tuning in, and let's have a great Friday. I'll see all you guys on Spaces.